Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Haiku Friday, May 24th, 2024. Well, the video feed has sort of a Batman villain-esque look to it. Things are a little tilted here down in my lair. Yes, because bad guys have layers, right? So I guess that's if I'm tilted, I must be a bad guy today. So there we go. Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome. We are going to kick it right now. Okay, we have a couple from Max Q this morning, and they're both of a political nature. Voted for Nikki, a matter of his conscience. We'll vote for Trump now. Max Q. Yes, isn't that funny? But you know what? Uh, was that unexpected? Was that unexpected that somebody says this person is intolerable? But I have to say, that and Max Q said this was about a Republican friend of his, that it has been a long time coming. It has been brainwashing. Started with Rush Limbaugh and the elimination of the Fairness Act in media. That this started where they started getting this brainwash about Democrats. They can't to vote for a D would make them turn into a pillar of salt, go into a puff of smoke, whatever. It's an addiction, and it started a long time ago with people liking to hear mean things about other people, starting with Rush Limbaugh, started and then continued with Fox and Bill O'Reilly and all those other characters. And here we are now. This is the logical conclusion of 20 years, 30 years, 30 years? I guess 30 something years of psychological warfare by conservatives in the Republican Party in our country. So it's going to take a long time to break this hold, I think. So it should be of no surprise. And I'm sure Max Q was not surprised when his friends said how reprehensible Trump was, but he's going to vote for him. All right. Here we go. Second one from Max Q, again of a political nature. We're flying our flags. Down is up and heads is tails. 2 plus 2 is 5. Yes. Yep. Justice Alito. It's funny how I think that there are certain people in this time frame that can look they certainly have the intelligence to look back in history and to know that their grandchildren will probably think they were bad people because of what they did. And Justice Alito, I'm sorry to say, you're one of them. All right. I'm getting political. All right. Now let's stop being political for a bit. Why don't we? We have one from Bill, who is up in Calgary area, but this made me so happy. And he sent, of course, the accompanying picture, which is amazing. First sign of summer. I've missed you, sweet, ripe, juicy, running down my chin. And oh my gosh, a beautiful picture of a watermelon sliced up. Oh, it made my stomach happy, happy and hungry. And yes, we're getting there. It's not been very warm here, Bill. My garden, everything is sprouting, but oh, it is just hanging on, waiting for some warm days. And I too look forward to enjoying some watermelon. All right. And it is as pleasures in life, isn't it? All right. Here's one from our pal Rico San. And Rico San wrote that there was a change in the weather after he wrote this. But nonetheless, it is a problem, I think, still. Rico San writes, and the drought drags on. After heavy clouds passing, pockmarks in the dust. That's nice. Yeah, it is crazy when that rain hits and you can just watch the dust from the impact of a drop of rain. I'd like to see that in slow motion. That would be something. Thanks, Rico-san. Hope we don't have a drought this year. That's for sure. Hopefully we get this done. Okay, now of course I was influenced by all the political haikus, and here is mine. All the Star Trek watched. I'm prepared for red hour hats. The will of Landru. Now, yes, it is the red hour. We're approaching the red hour, one way or the other. But I think it's important to recognize that when the Enterprise came across this planet that had this festival time where everybody would go crazy and tear things apart, kind of an oft-used theme. I think it was used in the Twilight Zone too, that people can blow off steam and all that. That they didn't destroy the planet. They didn't like liquidate the planet because of it. They didn't hate the people who were possessed by by Landru's Red Hour in the Return of the Archons. I forget which season that was, but instead they sought out the source, and I think that controlled people. And I always envision that maybe that's what we can do now. The people who were under the will of Landru and had had done terrible things. I'm sure they were embarrassed in the end, but they were able to pull it together and get on with their lives. And I think that's what we have to allow people who are in the MAGA death cult to be able to do. And I don't know how we do that. I think because everything lives on the internet forever. I think I mentioned before, my dream is that we say, hey, there was a mind control ray that had everybody in effect, and they weren't thinking straight, but we've turned it off now. And so you are everything's cool now, and we'll all forget that you wore these hats that signified violence, um, and what you did at the Capitol, et cetera, et cetera. But that maybe we should just say it's demonic possession. I don't know, whatever works, whatever works. It's not, we're all susceptible to mind control. I learned that, saw it firsthand happen to people in resistance training for the Air Force during survival school. It's can happen to anybody. So let's have pity on these folks and let's help them. All right, so that concludes my proselytizing, my preaching, and Haiku Friday. I'm sorry that I got off, but I get tainted. I get controlled by the haikus. See, I'm not immune. I get my mind goes where the haikus are that I read. So that's what happened. So, but send me a haiku. Doesn't have to be political. In fact, it's better if it's not. It's just so many beautiful things in the world. And again, how do we fight destruction? We don't hate the destroyers because they like that. What we do is we create. And if they destroy our creations, well, we just create some more. That's what we do. And eventually, some part in them that still can feel some shame, maybe, or humanity, will reconsider what they're doing. That's our hope. That's our only hope. That's the only way out of this. All right, I'm done. I'm done preaching. Let's talk about, if you want to stay tuned to what's going on, I will tell you what's going on in my life. If you want, here we go. So I did the Brush on the Bluff event on Brush on the Bluff event on Saturday, which was fun. Man, there was like 30 something artists out there, painters, felters, chainsaw artists. And I was so grateful that I had accomplished maybe about an eighth of what I needed to do on my painting. But at least it showed people, oh, I can do things. I'm capable. Because I only painted maybe about another hour because people stopped by and they wanted to talk. And that was the point of it. So I was so happy to talk to people. And some folks I knew, some folks I knew people that they knew. It was so much fun. And thank you for those people who went and visited me. I really appreciate it. And then for the next couple days after that, man, I worked hard. I put in this, I think, an 8-hour day on Monday, and then like a 4-hour day or 6-hour day on Tuesday to finish this thing. So it was a press. And, it had to be turned in by Wednesday. So whatever it was done. And I turned it in on Wednesday. Tonight is an event that if you go to Friends of the Bluff, you can find more information about it. And it is an event where we're going to have an art show. All the people who participated will be in this art show, and you'll get to see everybody's different interpretation of the bluffs off of High Drive, and I think you'll like that. And it's at the Washington Cracker. I know that's not the name of it. It's such a hard name for me to remember. Washington. I want to say Washington Biscuit Barrel Building, but no, it's not. I think it's the Washington Cracker Building. I always have a hard time with that. My brain's getting old. Okay, so that's tonight. I'm in another play, As You Like It. I think I mentioned before my hearing loss, how bad it is, and how I've kind of been avoiding doing things with other people, not because I can do my lines and I can on stage and stuff. It's just that people want to talk to me, especially when it's noisy. Now, this will be all outdoors, so this will help noisy. So I didn't even audition for anything this summer. Um, but I found myself um, being asked if I would consider taking a role, a very small role, but they needed filled. The Spokane Shakespeare Society. In fact, it's two little roles, and they assured me it wouldn't. I Most of the rehearsals I don't have to be at. They hit all the right notes, and then you know what? I like playing with people, and we had the read through the other night, and what a nice group of young people that I get to make art with. So I'm really excited about that. Very excited. Um, and so I get to learn lines, good for the old noggin. And then there's a lot of improv. I'm going to be sort of a character. I think there'll be some audience interaction on my part. So that'll be fun. That'll be fun. Um, so I get to play, and I like to play. That'll be fun. Now, another thing that's going on is my friend, lovely person, and an awesome playwright, Pam Kingsley. Uh, Years ago, she had me in a play called Boxes, and she said that this play was inspired by you. Now, it's not about you, but your character was inspired by you. And so I played that during COVID on an online production. Well, and it was just one act at the time, I think. But she has blown it up into a full play. And so I get to work with some fantastic, amazing talents in this thing. And I'm going to be running full sprint to keep up, I think. But I'm really excited about that. So we'll start working on that this summer as well. And it won't be a performance until spring. But there's a lot of rewriting and writing and in character, looking at the character development and things like that. So it's going to be totally, totally fine. Now I want to tell you a cool story, and I don't want to sound like this is virtue signaling, what we used to call uh, what I guess my catechism, my Sunday school teachers would have said, uh, acting like Jesus would like us to act. But the right wing now likes to call this virtue signaling, because people at our basic hearts, we want to help. So, and I want to tell you a little story. I was walking home from doing my radio show, and I was heading up the hill, and I saw this blind man. And I have seen this guy slowly lose his eyesight over the years. He used to have a big cane that he would kind of feel himself around with. I've never introduced myself to him. He was walking down the sidewalk, uh, and I would, sometimes look or wave and realize, well, it's like George W. Bush waving at Stevie Wonder. So I this time I decided I would stop. Well, let me back up. I stopped because I was walking up the hill, and he had dead ended in this. Lincoln makes this turn, and there's like a patch of grass, and he was stuck between like two super busy streets, the little strip of land. And so I went out and I talked with him and convinced him to follow me to safety. And so we crossed the road. There were a lot of weird road crossings at that intersection of Monroe, Lincoln, Lincoln Place, 7th. So I got him down to like 6th and Monroe. to basically to get him back home. He had taken a wrong turn up around Madison and 14th, so he was way off track. And so he says, your voice sounds familiar. Do I know you? And I said, well, no, I've got a radio show. Maybe that's where you heard it. And he goes, well, are you one of the out and about people? And I said, that's me. That's my radio show. So he listens to my radio show. And I was like, this is so wonderful. So I'm looking to do a shout out to him now and again on the show. But anyway, all to say, you know what? That would have been one, having a conscience. If I had passed by this person in need, I would have, oh my God, I wouldn't have been able to sleep at night. And I think most of us are that way. I'd say almost all of us are that way. So it wasn't anything special, wasn't a big deal, but I was so tickled that he knew who I was. Isn't that neat? Um, let's see. Yesterday, my grandson puked in my hair before I went to the grocery store. That was kind of funny. I smelled it when I was putting on my jacket, and I thought, oh my God, I smell horrible. So I washed my hair this morning. I washed it yesterday too, but washed it again this morning. But you know what? That's love. I love this kid. I love this kid so much, just like all my grandkids. And this kid is a wunderkind. I love him. So, speaking of wunderkinds, I had a visit from my son Isaac, and I had so much fun seeing Ike. It was a great, great time. I'm really having a good time hanging out with my kids. So Ike, we had a wonderful visit. Ike has always been a candy fiend, and I'm turning into more of a candy fiend probably because I don't drink anymore because of my liver. Well, when I say I don't drink, I have like maybe 2 drinks a month. And that's just because I meet with, people want to have a beer. Okay, I'll have a beer. But boy, I'm a big non-alcoholic beer drinker. All right, so that concludes Haiku Friday. Thanks for tuning in. Love you all. I will see you soon. And have a great, great weekend. Bye now.